for the Food Line starting lineups. Boston College is 14-9 on the season, 4-6 in conference play. Bowman and Robinson have started every game this year for BC. For the Fighting Irish, Austin Torres, the graduate student, gets his third start of the season. He plays in his 20th game for the Fighting Irish, who this season are 13-10, 3-7 in conference play, and they own the opening tip in the white. Boston College in the maroon and gold.
Well, you made the allusion to 3-point. We may
Yes.
be seeing a lot of those tonight, especially from Boston College. It's a big part of their offense.
This is Pfluger trying to work on Bowman, who cuts him off. Shot clock at 10 for Gibbs. Off the glass as he calculates the physics and scores our first two.
Yeah, when Bonzi Colson got hurt, he really had to step up. They challenged him to be a double-double guy. Was early, has hit a little bit of a lull, but a great start for him.
Mike, you talked about BC and its three-pointers as Chapman launches one and hits. They made 11 in that win Sunday against Georgia Tech in overtime.
You know, Mike Ray talked about, when they go man-to-man against BC, it's very taxing to do it. But that's a great back cut that time by Pfluger.
Pfluger, the junior from Dana Point, California. One of 5 captains on this Notre Dame Fighting Irish roster. BC connecting on 48% of its 3 attempts in the win against the Yellow Jackets. Popovich trying to operate on the block against Gibbs, and Popovich scores for BC.
Well, that's the beauty of playing with the perimeter that BC has. Popovich is not going to see many double teams at all. I mean, it's just going to be man on man down. Notre Dame would rather see that style of play than guys getting open looks.
Farrell got turned aside. A little backdoor cut. Pfluger finds Torres for 2.
He's coming off his best game, even though it was a loss at NC State. 27 minutes. And, he's had to step up as well. He's normally an energy guy off the bench.
Yeah, Torres had 9 points in that game at NC State. The most recent loss for the Irish. Robinson with a nifty follow-away, creating some space.
And Jim Christian kind of plugging him for Player of the Year, and at the halfway point, tough to argue against that in the league, along with Bagley and Luke May. I think probably top 3, but Pfluger gets the toughest assignment of trying to guard him.
Kevin too strong. Mitchell pulls it in for Boston College. Popovich put on the brakes. Flip it into the corner, and now Bowman.
That's the dangerous thing. They tried to jump that screen hard, but when you get into rotation against BC, they always make the correct play.
Farrell for 3 for the Irish.
He looks good. He had some major ankle issues, and I think NC State, the last game was the first game that he looked like himself, but much more in rhythm tonight.
He led the team at NC State with 16 points and made 4 of 10 on 3-point shot attempts for Farrell. Long rebound to Torres.
Well, this is a team, BC, that they made 15 threes against Gibbs.
Gibbs goes on a rim bender for the Irish up 11-7.
And that's where Notre Dame has the advantage up front. They can't match that 3-point firepower. Certainly score inside the paint.
Popovich squares up on Gibbs. Pass in tight quarters. Mitchell, great regather and layup, Mike.
He's a guy for a freshman who just has done everything for this team and does nothing great, but does everything very well.
He made a 3-pointer, Mike, with 35 seconds left against Georgia Tech on Sunday to force overtime, where Boston College would ultimately win. The Irish moving that basketball around for the look. Pfluger unselfish. Torres with the finish.
To compete on both ends of the floor. And for Notre Dame, that 70s show, Mike Bray feels that this game can't get into the high 70s or 80s. They don't have enough firepower for that. They would like to keep it high 60s.
Yeah, Boston College is 10-1, scoring 80 or more this season. Work on the offensive glass. The second effort bouncing out from Mooney. He's just into the game for the Irish, wearing number 33.
Yeah, and one thing that's a little dip for Gavin might have been the extra minutes and fatigue and issues, so they're trying to give him some early rest. And once again, Mitchell being able to do so many different things out on the floor.
4 points now for Mitchell. Notre Dame has won 9 in a row in the series against Boston College, 8-0 against BC as opponents in the Atlantic Coast Conference. The catch and release for three is good. TJ Gibbs.
And this one, Mike Graham really likes the way that now that Farrell is back, those two really work in sync well together.
Gibbs, who leads the team in made threes, Mike, now has 54 and shoots 40% from beyond 20 feet, 9 inches away for the Irish.
On top, if they can stay close in that statistic, that'll be a plus.
Mitchell had a chance at it off of his hands and out of bounds to the Irish. Jim Christian celebrating his 53rd birthday today, Mike, in his 4th year as the head coach of the Eagles.
It's amazing today how young these coaches are, Tom. It's shocking to me how they're hiring these kids. I'd love to be 53.
Jim Christian, also a head coach at Ohio and TCU and Kent State. He took that program to 2 NCAA tournaments. Here's Fluger. He missed on the 3, and Bowman up to get it. One of the top smaller players in the nation, Mike, as far as rebounding is concerned.
Yeah, that's crazy. 6'1", but gives you 7 rebounds a game. Robinson, the one thing Mike Gray said is that he really didn't feel they could survive double-digit made threes from BC. And they started talking about them making 15 against Duke way back in December in an early ACC game.
Yeah, Boston College with that upset of them. Number 1 Duke on December 9th. In Chestnut Hill, 89-84. Bowman had 30 points in that game, Mike, as the shot clock is down to 2 for Gibbs. And he beats it.
That was from deep, and great awareness by Farrell. To have a senior point guard have that shot clock in his head and not panic in that situation.
6 points for Gibbs, 2 for 2 on 3-point attempts. Boston College had to come back from double digits down, 11 down in the second half against Georgia Tech to get the win at home as Fluger kicks that one out of bounds.
Right now, it's 3 of 5 for Notre Dame, and then Robinson down the other end. Both teams are shooting extremely well, both over 64% for the game.
Bowman. Weak side fight won by the Irish. Burns was able to pull it in. He's into the lineup. Also Jogo, number 13.
A fan of a one-handed pass, and that one just sailed on Robinson trying to make the play. But Notre Dame, good job getting numbers back.
How about Thursday, Mike? 8 o'clock. Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Somebody playing then?
Duke and North Carolina for the 247th time. The amazing thing about that rivalry, the last 100 meetings, 50-50 between Tar Heels and the Blue Devils.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter talent levels. Gibbs continues lining up from 3, but one team's up, other one's down, both equal, both down, and the intensity of the game is unrivaled.
TJ Gibbs has now made 3 3-point baskets, equaling his total in the game at NC State, where he had 14 points. Chapman trying to look baseline. Reyes couldn't handle the pass. Gibbs, odd man break. Jogo has to pull it out. Gibbs is open again. Heat check.
That was 4 on 5. I don't know. Robinson slipped on the way back defensively and kind of hit the stanchion, rolling his head around. Well, you take a look at what T.J. Gibbs has done in this game. You'd love to nitpick a little bit, Tom, but he's perfect from 3, 4 of 4 for 12 points. He comes in shooting 41%, but I think it's going to elevate a little bit. And there you see Bonzie Colson doing the one-footed cheer.
Gibbs has now hit double figures, Mike. 12 straight games with his 4 threes in the first half.
Yep, and Mike Ray was just so, we talked about Bonzie Colson, but he talked about how engaged he is in the game, in the huddle. A lot of times before Mike Ray even gets there, Colson's in there talking to the guys.
And Colson's missed the last 9 games with that left foot injury suffered in practice on December 29th. Did come back to play on January 30th against Georgia Tech and had a double-double, 22 and 17. Gibbs has some free throws upcoming. Irish on a 9-0 run as Gibbs will go to the free throw line.
Big guy, solid there, 81%. And he was, and Mike Ray said he was playing at a fairly high level even before Colson went down. So a bonus that he's even elevated his play. Mike Ray, hard to believe, 18 years here.
Most wins in school history, Mike.
Just did that this year, breaking Digger Phelps' record.
Coach Bray did that on January 3rd to win at home against NC State, 88-58 for the Irish. Robinson trying to get around Gibbs, and the foul committed.
That's a large body to get around too, but it shows you the quickness that Robinson had and the ability. He's just not a standstill jump shooter, but also can get to the rim.
Our coverage of ACC basketball being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the nearly 1 million men and women of the U.S. Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines stationed around the globe in 175 countries and on the high seas. So proud to have you with us. We hope you're enjoying the broadcast.
Well, right now, Robinson carrying things for BC. They need to get Bowman going in this game. He's only taken a couple of shots.
Those free throws by Robinson stopping a scoring drought of almost 3 minutes for the Eagles.
They've been a different team on the road, and we talked in the open the fact that they're winless, but a different team on the road than they have been at home. Not as good defensively, trouble shooting the basketball.
Gibbs was fouled on the three-point attempt as Chapman was trying to contest the shot.
When nights start like that for you go 4 for 4, then that one was a tough shot from deep, and the last thing you do is foul him in that situation.
Gibbs, one of the better free throw shooters in the conference, 81%.
He was actually challenged by the coaching staff. He lost 17 pounds from last year, has gotten in much better shape, and consequently able to play more. He's in ACC games, Tom, 4 times he's played the whole game.
It's also 91% from the line in ACC games, Mike, second best amongst players in this conference.
These are 2 excellent free throw shooting teams, with Notre Dame setting a record last year, shooting 80% as a team.
Irish second this year at 76%. Robinson trying to force the issue, ran into the double. Bowman trying to help him out. Shot clock at 8. Off the mark from Bowman. Knocked around. 3 players on the deck. Gibbs trying to wrestle it away from the Eagles. It'll be a held ball situation, and the arrow is going to favor Boston College. Our officials tonight: Ron Groover, Tim Comer, and Jeff Clark.
And it's interesting, aside from Farrell, wings for Notre Dame have some size to stay and give Bowman and Robinson a little trouble. Both of them at 6'1".
It's against Boston College.
Yeah, Popovich on a moving screen that time.
They're going to give that one to Mitchell, right?
Mitchell,
Yep.
And that's a fourth team foul, so it could be an early penalty situation for Notre Dame.
Irish lost on Saturday in Raleigh, North Carolina at NC State, 76-58. Just 8 of 24 from three-point distance. And they struggled at the free throw line, 8 of 14 in the loss. That bounces out. And Robinson up ahead to Bowman, slashing to the rim. Follow jam from Mitchell.
Well, that was a quick transition up the floor. Slow to get back, and everybody in Notre Dame buried in the paint.
Nine and a half minutes to go in our first half. Tom Wormy, Mike Jaminski, and our outstanding ACC Network production crew with you. Notre Dame, Indiana. Pfluger on the drive, deflected away to Chapman. Bowman, the one-man fast break. I'm telling you, Mike, he's 1 on 4, and he's thinking about driving to the basket.
Well, here's what we talked about, Bowman trying to get involved, and he gets out in the open floor and just not giving up on the play. Coming back behind is Mitchell.
That was the first field goal in over 4 minutes for the Eagles, Mike.
And I thought that Bowman might have been a little over-aggressive that time. Didn't have the numbers. But, man, Robinson, if you try to cheat on him and go for a steal, you'd better get it, or he's going to make you pay.
He is the #1 shooter in the ACC from beyond the arc by percentage. Started the night at 46% for Jerome Robinson, the junior from Raleigh, North Carolina. In fact, it's a North Carolina backcourt for the Eagles. Bowman.
And he's John Cooney, or John Mooney has that. He's got three-point range. You know, it's Devin is more of an inside orient, but now that Notre Dame has gone really big out on the floor with those two.
Mooney, the sophomore from Orlando, Florida, with the three. Chapman's three deflected by Farrell. Popovich, they work it around to Robinson. Hits the deck of the miss, and Mooney the board. Irish trying to snap a 7-game losing streak. That included a double overtime loss at home against Louisville, 82-78. Mooney grabs it. Second chance, Gibbs grazes the rim. Mitchell. Not what he was looking for.
Kind of an ill-advised shot early in the shot clock.
Mooney. Given over the top. Bowman behind the back. Hesitation. Robinson. Free ball for BC.
Well, I tell you what, Bowman has made some spectacular moves off the dribble to get by defenders.
13 points for Robinson and 3 of 4 in three-pointers. Jerome Robinson. He and Gibbs checking one another right now.
Bounced out for Gibbon.
Yeah, those are the shots. Recently, he's had trouble finishing inside. You've got to connect on those.
Robinson the miss. Gibbon the clearance. Pfluger hustles it up. Farrell steps to the three-point line and misses. The long rebound at Chapman. He's all alone against 3 Irish players.
So you have to pull that back. There wasn't another BC player across half court with 4 white jerseys back. And I don't know if Chapman trying to just get involved a little bit more in the offense, but that was not a good decision.
Farrell created contact, and the basket for the senior. 50% tonight, Mike. Big improvement. improvement over the last 8.
Well, and you add to that 54% from 3. The thing that's impressive to me, Tom, early on, Notre Dame's made 11 field goals. They've had 10 assists on those 11 field goals, only 2 turnovers, so the offense really working to perfection.
Yeah, they've lost 7 of those 8 games that we mentioned. Their last win came on January 6th at the Carrier Dome against Syracuse, 51-49 in the win against the Orange. You don't see that very often. Farrell 83% from the free throw line this season for the senior from Bridgewater, New Jersey. Missed 5 games because of that ankle bruise and sprained ankle. Kraljevic.
Yeah, and then, you know, he's in, and we looked over, and Popovich has gone into the locker room, so that's why Crawler is getting the early minutes out here in the first half.
Kraljevic is a freshman from Slovenia. Into the lineup for the Eagles. Gibbs off the backboard and good. On the drive, TJ Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, he was so hot from outside that they had to jam him and force him, drive him off the line, make him shoot that mid-range shot.
Mike, he's got 17 points in the first half for the Irish sophomore. Chapman making his way to the rim.
It's they've got 3 guys out there who have a legitimate shot on any night to score 30 points.
They have all done it this season.
Yep.
Chapman did it against Richmond earlier this year. Had 19 points in the win against Georgia Tech in overtime and made 5 3-pointers. Farrell wants a 3 of his own. Gebbin gets it back for a fresh shot clock.
Well, with Gebbin and Mooney in there, just owning the offensive glass right now. A couple opportunities Notre Dame hasn't taken advantage of.
Robinson, creative dribble, backed it up and hit the 3.
That's a tough cover for Jogo. Yeah, up front. You got a bigger guy like that on you. He's so quick. He drove him back with a hard dribble and created the space.
So Robinson has 16 points. Bowman yet to score for Boston College. This is Gibbs floating through the paint, Mike. Style points for Gibbs on that one.
Well, for BC, I mean, just to overcome what he's thrown at you by himself has been impressive. But BC, they kind of held on after that early knockout punch by Notre Dame.
Mitchell spins off. How about 19 points in the first half for Gibbs?
Keep feeding him.
Jogo out of the corner. Gebbin turnaround. Does not get the bounce. Kai Bowman looking for his first points of the evening. Working off the screen. Jogo had the position. Ball is available and out of bounds. Looks like it's going to stay at that end of the floor. TJ Gibbs, Mike, with a monster first half with 19 points. Jerome.
Both of them have accounted for over half of their respective teams' points.
This Notre Dame program went to the finals last year against Duke at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, as the foul will go against Boston College.
Kraljevic at that time just moving on the screen.
So we are headed back to Brooklyn, New York.
And I thought Barclays and the borough of Brooklyn did an outstanding job hosting the tournament for the first time.
Duke the champions in that game against the Fighting Irish, 75-69.
First team to come from Wednesday and win 4 games.
Kraljevic got up there to deflect that attempt. Chapman on the run. Gibbs able to fence him off. Bowman. Chapman.
Yes, with the size factor, BC is really trying to push tempo when they get the basketball, but Notre Dame's done a pretty nice job of getting back in transition.
Boston College now 5 of 13 from 3-point distance. 6 of 13 for the Irish in the first half. From beyond the arc, Torres, the slam for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and when they're not knocking down threes, it's been a pretty good play for Notre Dame, whether it's Pfluger or that time Jogo getting in the dribble penetration, setting up the bigs.
4 points, Austin Torres. Kraljevic trying to get free underneath. There was a foul as Mooney and Pfluger converged defensively.
Well, here's the look. You see, and this is what he draws help defensively, and all you have to do is roll behind him. Kraljevic coming over, kind of half-heartedly went after to draw the charge. He's only been to the line 10 times this year, though.
Wouldn't be able to tell from the form on that first one, Mike.
Yeah, solid 2 of 10 on the year coming in.
Farrell returns to the lineup for Notre Dame. 5 points for Farrell, just 1 of 5 on 3-point attempts. Luka Kraljevic makes both free throws. Did play prep ball in New Jersey at Don Bosco before heading to Boston College. He is a freshman. Weak side fights. Torres, Gibbs, Mitchell all there, and the whistle goes against the Irish and Torres. Mike Bray wants to join that middle pack of teams, Mike, in the standings in the ACC.
Well, and more just, one, they haven't won in a month. So this would be a mental health victory, and then you don't want to lose sight of that group in the middle. 9 teams that are 6-4 or 4-6.
So Bowman ends a drought where Boston College had not connected on a field goal in almost 3 minutes, and Bowman is into the box score. That's his first basket of the game. Now 1 of 6 from the floor as he knocks down the 3, Mike.
Well, here's the look, and the thing about it is that his team is so unselfish. And Robinson and Bowman play off each other so well. And Bowman wasn't really, he got out on a couple of breaks, but really wasn't hunting the shot in the half court.
Coming up on the Hardy's Halftime Report, we will preview Thursday's rivalry showdown between Duke and Carolina, which will be broadcast on the ACC Network, plus highlights and stats on the Hardy's Halftime Report from Notre Dame, Indiana, Purcell Pavilion, and the Joyce Center. So Boston College has fought back into this one.
And Jim Christian said for the game that he said the month of February is going to sort everything out for everybody. So right now that he considers them 1-0, and he's going to take the month of February and make it its own entity.
Irish. It has led by as many as 12 in this game. The lead 3 right now as we close in on a minute to play. Farrell driving and scoring.
Yeah, if anything for Bowman, he got up in the air a little bit on the pump fake, but you can't let him get to his right hand. Got to force him left.
7 points for Farrell. Robinson adds to his total. He's now up to 18 on the drive to the rack.
Right, and that's and Kevin, incredible. 24 blocks on the year coming in, but he went right at his chest. Had no, he just went. He dared him to make a defensive play.
Catch and release, Matt Farrell.
I don't know. Notre Dame seems to be surviving pretty well. Mike Bray was worried about firepower. 7 of 15 from 3.
Farrell into double digits. He's got 10. Gibbs leads the way with 19. It's Robinson, the only BC player into double digits, with 18 points in the first half. Bowman, offensive foul.
Well, we watched him shoot around today, and he looked like he was moving a lot better. And this is, a guy goes in and gets run off the line and shoots a little floater. And then the ability to knock down the 3 as well. It's tough to absorb losing your best guard and your best frontline player.
Bonzi Colson still on the bench. With the injuries, Gibbs runs it up and hits. Gibbs first half for TJ Gibbs.
And the referee's going to go over and take a look at it. That's good by a lot. I mean, there was still half a second left before that one left his hand.
Gibbs beats the buzzer. Is heating up. TJ Gibbs is the guy for Notre Dame. Mike, what a first half.
No, he's been, like I said, got off to the very quick start, and before they knew it, he had about 16 points up on the board. They started being more aggressive with BC and trying to make him drive, but just one of those first halves. And I was watching him warm up in the second half, and it looked like the fire is still lit.
22 points in the first half, 7 of 8 from the floor, 5 of 6 and 3-point attempts, including the buzzer beater for TJ Gibbs. What a first 20 minutes of play for that young man, a sophomore from Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
We'll be interested to see if Bowman has had a very quiet night so far. 1 of 6, only 3 points for him. And the big three, the scorers for BC, they all played 20 minutes.
So the Irish in possession to start the second 20 minutes. During the regular season, they have shot 45% as a team from the floor, way above that season average. 50% tonight for the Irish. Pfluger dropped it off. It was Torres who had it denied. Back out to Farrell. Shot clock at 10. Gibbon in tight. Robinson wants it, calls for it. Tapped out by Mitchell. Got it right back from Chapman for the 3-ball. TJ Gibbs the rebound.
Nice play, nothing to show for it, but an undersized team can't get it. Tap the ball back out for a second chance.
Pfluger baseline. Pfluger's going to the free throw line.
And, it'll be interesting to see the balance that Notre Dame has on their offense, because with Popovich out of the game, BC is really limited and really small. And so, I think you have to do two things: attack the basket, use that to your advantage, as well as keep that three-point shooting going.
They gave that last foul to Mitchell. Mike, as you mentioned, Bowman just 1 of 6 from the floor. And he's one of the top scorers in the ACC. Bowman normally averages about 17 points per game, which is tied for 5th in the conference.
Yeah, they can't. I don't think they can survive another half like that from him. But he's probably got to hit double figures, maybe a little bit more than that, and pick things up.
Reyes got tangled up on the rim there. It was contested by Gibbon. Reyes was trying to go for the aggressive move to the rim. Pfluger tried to bounce it off of Robinson, and Bowman unable to save it.
Nice help by Gibbon coming across the floor right here. Good pass inside. Yeah, that came close to being a held ball or a jump ball.
Might have been some contact with the rim by Gibbon too, Mike.
Right, and they are really staying on the pick and roll with Farrell. The bigs are staying with him. Reyes stayed with him for two or three dribbles.
This is Bowman trying to get around Gibbs. High off the glass, too strong. Mitchell's second effort for BC. Reyes wanted a third effort, but it's going to be a foul against Boston College. Second on Reyes.
And you would think that that's the guy that Jim Christian would be counting on. Probably played big minutes, but he's got to, again, be careful now with foul trouble.
Boston College is 0-4 in conference play. Away from Connie Forum. There's Farrell. That's a 3.
The handoff from Gibbs, too. I mean, they really locked in on him defensively after that first half. And Farrell getting some looks.
.13 points now for Farrell. Robinson against two defenders, got by Pfluger and laid it in. Up ahead, Gibbs. Out. Bowman got back to foul him.
You can see this little handoff, and there's a switch that time, a little lack of communication, and Mitchell late getting out on a handoff. But Pfluger, a fine defender, but again, if you get to let Robinson get to that right hand, how about Gibbs beating everybody up the floor for a chance of 2 free throws?
Martinas Gibbs, senior from Lithuania.
Yeah, that's you know, again, they've challenged him to be a double-double guy, and even with Popovich out, that Notre Dame's still staying with that big lineup with Mooney out there on the floor as well.
Gibbs had his big game in that double OT loss here against Louisville. 22 points, 17 rebounds, the double-double at both career highs for Martinas Gibbs. Robinson straight away. Off of the fingertips of Farrell, but right to Pfluger. Bounce pass. Back out to Farrell. Uncontested rebound, Robinson. Bowman wanted that shot. Kraljevic deflected it to Mitchell. Robinson will slow it down a little bit. Into the corner. Mitchell.
Got a great look. You know, when they run that high ball screen up top, it's so hard for Robinson to, you know, to keep him under control. Mooney stepping up again with the three, and Jim Christian needs the timeout to stop this run. Here's the look, the big thumb. Congratulations to Brad Brownell, keeps that thing rolling with Clemson with their best player going down.
Dante Grantham out of the lineup for the Tigers, the senior leader. It's a three-pointer from Chapman that comes up short. And a foul on the play. Mitchell. Third on Mitchell. Tom Wormy, Mike Jaminski with you from Purcell Pavilion at the Joyce Center, Notre Dame, Indiana, on the ACC Network and Raycom Sports. So glad you're with us. Only show in town, Mike. This is the only ACC game tonight.
And that's 2 fouls that their 2 biggest players picked up on the offensive end of the floor. And Mitchell's forced to go out now with 3, which really sets them back.
Irish with the basketball. Here's Gibbs.
Hasn't scored yet this half. It's been Farrell's been getting more looks.
This is Gibbs off balance and fouled. So the foul against BC as we step aside. Mike.
Well, Tom, their season high is 15 made threes against LSU out in Maui, and they are approaching that rapidly tonight. Great passing, great spacing, really unselfish play by this team, and you gotta knock down shots to get the open looks. And Gibbs was the one who really got them going. He hit his first 4 threes. Farrell's picked it up, but everybody's contributed.
Gibbs is 5 of 6. From behind the line in three-point real estate. He's now at the free throw line. He's just 1 shy of his career high for threes made in a game of 7. 6 rather for Gibbs from three-point distance. And that's 5 of 5 from the free throw line for TJ Gibbs.
And talk about a guy who's stepped up, raised his scoring average 11 points from last year. You get the opportunity, and he's taken full advantage of it.
24 points, way above his season average. That's Bowman using the left hand in the layup.
Yeah, that was a great drive. He just he refused the screen, and they were shading him to come over the top, and there was a big lane right to the rim.
Notre Dame won both meetings between the teams a season ago as Gibbs misfires. Reyes runs it down.
I think it was his first 3 attempt of the second half.
Bowman looking to score.
He's got a little bit of a size advantage and a strength advantage over Farrell, trying to take advantage of it that time.
Deflected away by Robinson into the Notre Dame bench area and out of bounds. It's really just been Robinson, Mike, with the 20 points. Closest behind him is Mitchell with 6 points.
Yeah, Chapman only 2 of 7 shooting, so he has not been on his normal game. It's interesting that the Notre Dame is, and well, they both of them have short benches, but Notre Dame seems to be getting guys on shorter shifts.
Gibbs, offensive glass by Irish. Martinez Gibbs.
Yeah, not only are Notre Dame's guys taller, but they're wider as well, and just pushing BC under the rim.
Yeah, Gibbs goes 6'10", 252 pounds. Kraljevic for 3. Reyes handing off to Robinson. Did he step on that baseline? He did.
Just we talked about earlier, Bonzi Colson, you know, your senior year, all the expectations. I mean, he was talked about as Player of the Year candidate nationally. And, you know, Mike Bray says there's a chance they're going to be very, very careful with that foot to make sure that it's fully healed and not risk any kind of re-injury. But here's a young man that desperately wants to get back and help his team and finish out his senior year on the court.
Mooney. Chapman on the run. Robinson to his left, and Robinson will jam it.
Great decision that time by Chapman. Well-run break, and those two were jets up the floor. This is because of the foul trouble and the size that BC has been using the zone the last couple possessions.
Gibbs misses.
Notre Dame is their shooting percentage coming down some because of it.
22 points for Robinson, the leading scorer for the Eagles. 11th time this season he scored 20 or more for the Boston College Eagles. He wants 3. How about a 4-point play chance? Jerome Robinson.
Well, we talked about being able to score at 3 levels, and you're going to see 2 of them right here off on the break. Showing some ups there, not bad for 6'1". And then Joga, he got switched off that time, and that's a tough matchup for him, but you just got to let that shot go and contest it and not give him a 4-point play opportunity.
And now 3 of 3 from the free throw line for Robinson, who shoots 83% from the stripe on the season, 8th best in the conference.
This is a BC team that's come back 4 times from a double-figure deficit in the second half, so they, you know, you don't want to be in that position a lot, but they know how to play from it.
That includes the game on Sunday against Georgia Tech at home for the Eagles. Mooney responds with a 3.
He was nicked up in that Notre Dame in the NC State game. Had an ankle injury, only played 8 minutes, but has had a double-double this year, so he's capable.
Yeah, that came against Virginia Tech, where he went for 15 points and 11 rebounds. 9 points for Mooney, all on 3-point shots. Reyes, the jam.
Yeah, you know, for Chad, if you're going to commit to take a charge, you have to do it. And, you know, kind of Gibbs caught in between that time.
The Eagles trying to hang around. Farrell against Kraljevic. And Farrell will step to the free throw line. The lead at halftime was 9 points for the Irish. Farrell's 0 for 2 from the line. 83% of the season for Matt Farrell, the senior.
I was watching him, you know, at shoot-around today, and he looked pretty good. Mike Bray said he thought he saw some real progress in the second half of that NC State game. And then a couple days of practice, and wow, just, you know, Farrell's beside himself. And then, you know, tries to make up for it by coming.
How about that duo, Robinson and Gibbs for the Irish?
And it started early and it slowed down a little bit here in the second half. Gibbs only with 2 points in the half, but still, you got to. These guys are going to get. You're going to factor in as this game goes along, and that's, we talk about coming back from double-figure deficits. That BC, that firepower is scary. A couple of Chapman and Bowman have not been a part of it, but you got to think that they'll get going.
And again, Nick Popovich, an interior player for the Eagles, had to leave in the first half with an abdominal strain and was not expected to return to the lineup for the Eagles. Shot clock is at 10 for Bowman. Both Robinson and Gibbs have made 5 3-pointers. Bowman uses the backboard, Mike Jaminski.
That one was either going to go in or kill somebody in the third row. And sometimes the backboard is your friend, and he bails them out at the end of the shot clock.
8 points for Bowman. And the lead is 10 for the Irish. It had been as many as 18 in this half.
Yeah, I thought I heard somebody in the baseline yell incoming. And it was just, and maybe that's the shot that gets him going, but he had really no other choice.
Watching that ball go through the rim, Mike, and through the net can do wonders for players, as you've told me on a number of occasions. Gavin got a very soft bounce here at Purcell Pavilion for 2.
He's got, those frontline players for BC. Might see a little bit more zone in the last 10 minutes. Have to be very careful about getting into foul trouble. Again, I think they'd probably like to see Gavin posting up than threes going in.
That's Reyes with the reverse layup.
Joe Christian said he's been playing better recently.
Farrell over the head of Pfluger, out of bounds into the Eagles.
And up to this point in the game, they've done a very good job. Notre Dame taking care of the ball. It's only their 4th turnover so far.
Irish just 3-7 in ACC play. 2-3 against Atlantic Coast Conference opponents at home this year. And 7-4 overall for their home court for the Irish. Robinson got fouled as Pfluger knocked it away.
And see, that's the thing that separates two. You have to protect home court. And that's the one thing that BC has done so well.
So they gave the foul to Pfluger, his first.
Robinson was very slow to get up. We initially got a report that he would not return to the game.
Okay. He only had 2 field goal attempts, 2 points, but the abdominal strain and not expected to return. They changed that foul from Pfluger to Torres, his first. 3 for 3 from the stripe for Robinson. This guy can make clutch free throws, Mike. He made 7 in a row at the end of regulation against Virginia Tech to get that game to overtime, a game that BC would ultimately lose.
Yeah, and you really see no panic in BC. There's plenty of time left, and the way that this team can score the ball, they know they can, in a brief little burst, they can be tied.
BC in the midst of the 9-2 run. Irish with the basketball, and we're going inside of 10 minutes to play in regulation. Pfluger lines up the 3, and it's all net.
Yeah, that's a big shot because they're going to take the chance with Pfluger knocking it down. They really locked in on TJ Gibbs to try to get the ball out of his hands off the dribble.
12 made threes in the game by the Irish, and Robinson spins it off the backboard and in.
Yeah, great job of using the rim. Mooney was in the area, but wasn't able to get to the shot.
Robinson has now hit 30 points. Farrell, Mitchell the board.
And it's his three-point shooting that opens up the drive. When you can do both, you're, it's very, very difficult to guard you. And he is getting to the rim at will.
He has now tied his career high, Mike, with those 32 points, and it's a 7-point game.
Yeah, and, he just senses that he can do anything he wants to out on the floor. They're driving him off the line, and he is finishing at the rim.
Scored 32 in that loss at home against Virginia Tech a couple of games ago that went to overtime, as I mentioned. And now he has tied his career high again with the 32 tonight for Jerome Robinson. 11 of 16 from the floor and 5 of 9 on three-point attempts. This is 2 games ago against Virginia Tech. He went for 32 and got him into OT with the free throws down the stretch.
Yeah, it's Jim Christian singing his praises before the game. He just shakes his head. He says, I don't know a guard that's playing as well as he is in the conference right now.
Such a consistent scorer, Mike.
And this is what the other 2 big guns really had in off nights. I mean, he's got 32 of their 61 points.
Junior from Raleigh, North Carolina, Needham Broughton High School. Way above his season average of 19 points per game, which was already 3rd best in the ACC.
And in conference, 23 a game, so that's going north as well. The leading scorer. That's pretty stout. He stared down that double-digit deficit and he put this team basically on his back for the last 7 possessions.
Lucky number 7 for Jim Christian and the Eagles.
Yeah, if you're Mike Bray now, you almost have to start running 2 guys at Robinson and getting the ball out of his hands, see if somebody else can step up and make a shot.
Second time this season, Robinson has gone over 30 points. We showed you that effort against Virginia Tech. He's done it again tonight against the Irish. Pfluger, difficult shot. It bounces out, and Mitchell corrals it.
Even with this big lineup, there haven't been many second chance opportunities for the Irish.
Robinson was looking for some contact and a whistle. Notre Dame played solid defense. Irish is led by as many as 18 in this second half. The lead now 7.
And that was on Robinson and a little touch out front. Now Notre Dame at the line 1-1 for the rest of the half. The rest of the game. Only 3 fouls on the Irish. And that's Farrell is inexplicably 0 of 4 now from the line.
Farrell is an 83% free throw shooter. And Robinson from his buddy Bowman.
Boy, great back screen, and how many times do you see a lob to a 6'1" guard?
Foul on the play.
Starting here in the second half, and basically has cut this deficit down by himself, doing it in a variety of fashions, off the dribble, from 3. Just nobody, even a lob at the rim. An incredible night for him, and it's 40 and above is not out of the realm of possibility at all right now.
The new career high for Jerome Robinson. Pfluger at the free throw line for Notre Dame, which has not scored a point in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, and they've really taken Gibbs out of the offense on the other, on the other side of the ball. You see the difference, and it's not just missing shots. I mean, he hasn't even gotten attempts. Only 2 field goal attempts in 12 minutes here.
So that ends a 6-0 run by Boston College, which has made 8 of its last 9 field goal attempts and in possession of the basketball. Robinson, G-man,
Yeah, and, you know, they got Farrell off the floor right now trying to give him a little bit of a rest, and that gave him a spark. But, my goodness, you know, we thought that both he and Gibbs were heading for games like this.
37 points for Robinson, 6 made, 3-pointers to tie his career high. Mooney.
Yeah, let me adjust that. 50 may not be out of the realm of possibility for Mr. Robinson.
Just looking to put up the shots. Pfluger shut him down for a moment. Off of Torres out of bounds and BC ball.
Here's, I mean, you know, good defensive stance, but just got caught a little bit of a rolling screen right there. And he does not need a lot of room to get that shot off. Having like a little Steph Curry flashback here.
A robust stat line for Robinson. 37 points, 6 of 10 from long distance. Chapman, free throws. So Chapman at the free throw line, Mike. 88%.
You know, and I think that was a good time on the bench for Purcell. That you could see that those missed free throws had really kind of gotten into his head a little bit. I think Mike Bray just wanted to calm him down some and get him ready for the stretch run.
First free throws of the game from Jordan Chapman, junior from Vancouver, Washington. That one just has enough English on it to drop. Mooney's back in. The run for BC, Mike.
Which is exactly the run that got them back in the Georgia Tech game in the second half.
BC won that game in overtime, its second straight OT game. After the loss at home against Virginia Tech, as Mooney drops it low, Gibbs. Reyes can't stop him.
Yeah, good patience that time. He's just got too much bulk. He can back Reyes down and actually score. Came back with the left hand.
Gibbs also got 14 points. This is Bowman. Approaching the 6-minute threshold. Bowman lets it fly for 3. Gibbs rises up and pulls it in.
Yeah, one of the better defensive possessions that Notre Dame has had in a while.
Farrell, that's a 3-ball for the Irish.
Yeah, I think that time on the bench was good for him. Crowd getting into the game now.
Robinson lets it fly. Jerome Robinson, 40 points tonight, G-Man.
Well, and he ties the record of an opponent coming into this arena. 40 points. Lowe's Moore did it, West Virginia, 1978.
Farrell, the floater's too strong. Chapman fights with Gibbs, and a foul on the play against the Eagles.
Here's the look, and there's no help. I mean, the centers aren't going to get double teamed in this game. Good to back down, and then they go underneath the screen to give him a look. And I don't care if there are 5 people playing Robinson, and he's going to score. And that was just a beautiful step back. And that's most points by an ACC player this year, and also we talked about it, the most player in the Lowe's Moore, teammate of mine with the New Jersey Nets.
Meanwhile, Martinez Gibbs has a double-double to his credit as he stands at the free throw line, where he has not missed. 5 of 5, 15 points, 10 boards. Gibbs. There's a reason he's 81% from that free throw line, Mike.
He's a big who shoots that well. That's a huge plus.
6-point game, 5 minutes to go. Boston College and Notre Dame, which has a 9-game winning streak in this series. Gibbs commits the foul.
Yeah, when jumping out, he's trying to stretch the play out a little bit, and Robinson just drove the ball at him. They actually switched off. They've got Gibbs playing him now. They're throwing everything at him.
The last win of the series for BC came in February of 2004. That was at home. Last time they won here, Notre Dame, Indiana, January of 1999, 78-67 on the road. Shot clock is at 5. Robinson, how did he get past the defenders? Doesn't get the bounce. Mitchell gets it back. And then contact as Bowman was handling the basketball on the baseline.
Offensive rebounds are actually tied, or actually BC ahead by 1 right now. And that was just a 50-50 ball, one of the small things that Mitchell does out on the floor.
Third personal on Matt Farrell. And another foul against the Irish.
It's going to be on Gibbs, and he's just trying to stay with Robinson on the out-of-bounds play, and he gets the hold.
Second on Gibbs. Notre Dame has never lost 8 in a row under head coach Mike Bray, as they're trying to snap the 7-game losing streak. Robinson for point number 41 on the night. Now 6 of 6 from the line. Our look around the week in the ACC brought to you by Flonase Sensimist, Mike.
You know what? I got a feeling about that Florida State game. That may be the time that Virginia gets nicked, and it seems like those are the type of games that Florida State really excels and plays well at.
Now Virginia undefeated in conference play. Farrell for 3 for Notre Dame and 19 points.
Well, he's taken over where Gibbs is left off.
5 3-pointers made from Matt Farrell. Bowman regathers, trying to angle to the rim, lost his footing and traveled.
Yeah, they switched off, and that was a really nice play by Pfluger. Almost got himself in trouble by keeping the ball alive, but continued to stay with the play.
And now just 4 minutes to go. Irish by 7 after leading by 9 at halftime. Gibbs over top of the defender, Mitchell.
Yeah, that's a tough cover, and they trust the one guy who's got to be careful for BC is Mitchell. 4 fouls on him. I really don't think they could afford to lose him going down the stretch.
The 7 made threes for Robinson, a career high. The points, 42. That's a career high. And he's 14 of 21 for his head coach, Jim Christian, who has a superstar in a BC uniform this year in Jerome Robinson.
And the one thing, too, Tom, working against BC, only 1 timeout left, but Jim Christian has had to use those to get them to this point.
Jerome Robinson, free throws upcoming.
That's one, if you're TJ Gibbs, you don't want to give that one away. There's the versatility of Robinson's game, being able to go in and make a post move inside, but you can't give away a foul in that situation.
So 3rd on Gibbs. 7 for 7 from the line, Robinson. Think about the fact that Boston College in the first 3 years for Jim Christian won 6 ACC games, Mike. 6, and they've got 4 wins this year already.
Well, that's the thing we talked about in the first half. February is its own entity, and he's really concentrating on just this year, or just this month. .82-75 with Gibbs backing down. That's
That's an offensive foul. Official Jeff Clark on top of the call, and it goes against Gibbs.
And it was that last dribble that got him in trouble. He was backing down, and right there, the elbow to clear space, which he didn't need. He was able to come back to his right hand anyway. Good call by the official.
We're inside of 3 minutes now, G-Man. Boston College and Notre Dame have put on an absolute show in this second half, especially this guy. Robinson scores again.
You got to run somebody at him and get the ball out of his hands somehow.
46 points, 3 away from the school record. The 46 ties Tyrese Rice for the most since BC joined the Atlantic Coast Conference. Shot clock is at 4 for Pfluger. Trying to shake Chapman. Pfluger hits!
Wow, that's a big bailout play. You'd expect the ball, and Farrell was calling for it, but Pfluger knew there wasn't enough time for that to happen.
Double digits for Pfluger and 10 points and a call against the Eagles. Kraljevic.
Yeah, and he's better be careful because he's barking a little bit at the officials, and they're not going to take much. John Carlos Reyes coming back in.
The 5th on Kraljevic means he's disqualified, and he'll head to the bench.
And BC needs to be a little awake there. Maybe just some false pressure to take time off the clock. You got to be a little careful going over half court.
Less than 2 minutes to go. Mooney from Farrell for the dunk.
Yeah, this again, no size in the backcourt. Reyes right into the game, but he fell asleep on that. Great job of attacking that little false pressure for a basket.
11 points for Mooney. 5 players in double figures for Notre Dame. Robinson misses. Mitchell fought for it with Gibbs, and now Reyes.
Here's the look, and there's a great look over the top, and you can just see nobody behind the play. Reyes got lost halfway up the rim. I'll tell you what, John Mooney has come in and given them some nice minutes. Double figures for him now. Gibbs has a double-double.
They gave that last foul, Mike, to Stephon Mitchell, and that's his 5th. So he's out of the game for the Eagles, and for Mitchell, Mike, 6 points on the night. Missed all 3 of his 3-point attempts.
And this is a tough position for Vin Baker Jr. to come in. Hasn't played all game, and now it's your critical time, minute 32 to go, and you haven't gotten a sweat.
Gibbs at the free throw line for Notre Dame. .28 points for Gibbs and 8 of 8 from the free throw line. And now 1:32 to go. 11-point lead Irish. BC had closed the lead to 2 earlier in the half. 70-68. Reyes over Gibbs.
Almost looked like he lost control of that one going up, but results still good.
Farrell, Gibbs, Pfluger, and Farrell gets it back.
Yeah, they're just going to run some clock now.
Pfluger stepping back. We're inside of a minute to go in regulation. Pfluger for 3.
Boy, has he been clutch the last couple of possessions.
Bonzi loves it. Pfluger 13 points, his second 3 of the game. Baker the miss. Gibbs the board. And now the Irish 42 seconds away from snapping the 7-game losing streak.
Why is Baker even thinking about taking that shot? That ball's got to be in Robinson's hand.
Pfluger. Mooney tees it up and knocks it down. Four made threes from Mooney and 14 points. Bowman's got a 3 at the other end. Foul stops the clock, 13.9.
Well, Rex Pfluger had the unenviable job of trying to shut down Mr. Robinson, but he has made some huge plays down the stretch, knocking down the shot and then making the play for Mooney in the corner.
Bonzie Colson, who is from Massachusetts, senior from New Bedford, Mass. He's got ties to the BC program. His dad, Bonzie Sr., a former assistant coach with the Eagles, Mike.
Yeah, I got to know him when he was at Al Skinner's staff. And I'll tell you what, though, if ever there was a visiting player that should get a little hand from the crowd, it's Jerome Robinson. It's one of the great individual performances I've seen.
It's the most points by a player in the ACC this season, 46. Looking to add to it. Gives it up, Baker. And Baker hits the three. Now just 5.4 seconds to go. Notre Dame made its last 6 shots. 96-85. Irish over the Eagles. First win in a month. 96-85. More to come from Notre Dame, Indiana on the ACC Network and Raycom Sports.